Hello everyone, it's me, Clayton. I just finished watching the Dogma anime, the newest anime series coming to Netflix that stars Greg Chun and Erica Mendez as well as Christina V. Now, when it comes to Dragon's Dogma, the Capcom game, it was certainly a popular RPG back when it first came out in 2012. And unlike the Castlevania series, this one feels like an odd game to adapt into a TV series. Mainly because a lot of the unique things about Dragon's Dogma that made it so beloved are things that are decidedly video gamey. Creating your own protagonist, having pawns help you out in combat, the gameplay of you climbing on dragons and stabbing their weak points in a Shadow of the Colossus-like fashion. Okay, you can get that last one in the show, but Dragon's Dogma was absolutely not known for its great characters or great plots. So how do you turn that into a good animated series? Well, the characters and plot do take a little more precedent here than it was in the game, of course, but they aren't exactly what you're here for. You're here for the action and for the massive spectacle of giant fantasy battles, and the show does at least deliver in that. But let's get to the story, shall we? The story is about a man named Ethan, played by Greg Chun, whose town is burned to the ground by a dragon, and his wife and kid are also killed by said dragon. And on top of that, the dragon also steals his heart and beckons him to slay him. Ethan, filled with rage and revenge, decides to go after the dragon. While accompanying him is a pawn, Hannah, played by Erica Mendez. And the two of them set out to also perform a bunch of side quest stuff, like fighting a cyclops to help out a village that has a gluttonous mayor, helping out soldiers who succumb to greed, taking down a succubus that's inside a village full of adventurers, all that stuff. So as you'd expect, the story here is initially pretty simple, just a man trying to take down a dragon with a lady companion, but a lot of the story revolves around Ethan and Hannah going around to various parts of this fantasy world, defeating monsters and helping people out whenever they can in a manner similar to side quests in an RPG. And similar to side quests in an RPG, it does seem like unnecessary busy work at first, but it actually does delve more into the show's other big purpose, which is to go through the follies of mankind, in the form of the 7 deadly sins, to the point where all 7 of the episodes are named after the 7 deadly sins. And while it is pretty obvious when it comes to the message they're going for, I do think it's the execution that does allow it to be at least enjoyable. While the writing is pretty corny, and while they hammer the message into you to no end, especially in the final episode, I do like the CGI animated battles where Ethan and Hannah fight off goblins and griffins and licks and all the other fantasy creatures that you can expect from Dragon's Dogma. And even though the animation is mostly in CGI, it's actually pretty good CGI, so you don't mind it that much. Granted, it doesn't reach the same lofty heights as the animation of, say, Castlevania or some other amazing action anime, but the 3D does allow for a lot of interesting camera angles, a lot of movement during the fights, and a lot of climbing, where Ethan tends to go when Ethan fights a dragon or fights a griffin, and where he gets to do the classic Dragon's Dogma thing of taking down the boss by aiming for the weak spots. Plus, I do like Hannah as a character. She starts off as this emotionless one who mainly doesn't decide to help out the humans at all, but grows more attached to them over time, so it's something I've seen before, but Erica Mendez's performance, as well as how the writing goes about it, did make me care about her quite a bit. Which is more than I could say for Ethan, which, despite a decent performance by Greg Chun, he's basically a pretty generic protagonist for this kind of journey. Despite that, however, Dragon's Dogma is an enjoyable, albeit thoroughly predictable adventure. Is it the best video game adaptation in the world? No. But I do think for an afternoon, you'll probably have a pretty fun time. That's why I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. See you next time.